Today we'll be traveling on board of an Iryo train in Spain. Iryo is a commercial open access railway company that serves high-speed lines here in Spain, and it's in competition with the state-owned railway company of Spain, what is Renfe. The answer of the competition is not only price, but also service. What it's like to travel on board these trains, we're all about to find out in this video as we take this Iryo from Madrid to Malaga. Join me on this Iryo Frecciarossa high-speed train. I'll be taking it from Madrid to Malaga, but you'll find them on many routes in Spain. I'll tell you more about this in the video. For now, let's start with this video and let's roll the intro. Just a couple of hours before, I arrived with this AVE high-speed train that I took from Valencia. Obviously I do have a trip report on this as well. This train arrived at the railway station of Madrid Chamartin. In Madrid you find basically two important terminal railway stations, or two important railway stations for long distance trains, Madrid Chamartin and Puerta de Atocha. Chamartin didn't used to be used for the high-speed trains, but since they made a new underground passage in the city of Madrid that's also suitable for the high-speed trains, some more high-speed trains will use this railway station, simply to release the pressure on Madrid Puerta de Atocha railway station. There was some big construction works going on over here as well, so I think it's gonna look way nicer in the future. With the second Ninja trains, it's only a short ride from Madrid Puerta de Atocha to Madrid Chamartin, or the other way around, like what I did. These urban transport trains are also included in your ticket if you're traveling with Iryo, but also with most AVE trains. And here we are at Madrid Puerta de Atocha. This is quite a big railway station where you find the commuter rail, the metro, and obviously lots of long distance trains, both high-speed and conventional trains. This map shows the high-speed railway lines in Spain, and the red lines are the routes where you can find the Iryo trains. At least at this moment they really want to expand their network. And the same thing counts for the number of high-speed lines in Spain. This will be extended as well in the near future. Spain has just a very impressive high-speed railway network. I can't repeat this enough, and I also mentioned this in my other videos. If you look at this per capita, China is nothing compared to Spain. Anyway, Madrid Puerta de Atocha. This is where you find the trains to Seville, Malaga and Barcelona, and Madrid Chamartin for the trains to Valencia and Alicante, and also trains that go more up north. Anyway, in this video I won't do a station review, well, very briefly though, simply because, well, Chamartin is being rebuilt at this moment, so it's not really worth it, and Puerta de Atocha I already have two videos that are not too old, where I show you this railway station pretty in detail, so I'm not gonna do this again this time either. However, I will show you a little bit obviously. At the main concourse of this railway station you find ticket counters, both for Renfe, what is a state-owned railway company of Spain, but also there's a small ticket counter for Iryo, that's the company I will be traveling on today. For Iryo there's also something like a kind of lounge. It's not located within the railway station itself. It's located at the iryou hotel that's right next to the railway station. It's a short walk from the railway station to the hotel, and the hotel itself actually it looks really nice. Iryo and iryou hotels do work together on, well, a bit more than only the lounge, because in the trains you also find something that's called iryou class, and this here is the kind of lounge in Madrid. It's a kind of waiting area. You can just get some work done, some information, etc. When I see the line map, Iryo is pretty ambitious when it comes to this. They also want to have international lines eventually. Well, because Iryo is being for 51% owned by Trenitalia, the state-owned railway company of Italy, that is also having some lines in France already. I think this will be happening in the, well, not too far away future. I mean, I'd love to see a direct train between Spain and Italy and the other way around, for example. And this might also help with a direct train, for example, between Marseille and Milan again. We used to have this before COVID, and I have to do a trip report on that as well. And partially that's a beautiful railway line, by the way, along the Côte d'Azur. Anyway, back to the station. I went to my train straight away. In Madrid you find 2 boarding areas for the high-speed trains. You have to go through some basic security, so you put your luggage in an X-ray scanner and you will be checked with a metal detector. And right after that you get out at this area over here. And if you compare this with an airport, you could say the area after customs or security. There are some more shops and some places where you can buy food. In terms of waiting areas, there are not that many seats here. That's a little bit of downside, to be honest. Right before you can go to the platform, your ticket will be checked. This is pretty standard for long distance trains and for high speed trains within Spain. Even though these procedures might look more like you're at an airport than at a railway station, it goes all still pretty smooth in general is my overall experience. Anyway, time to go to the platform. Iryo is using the Frecciarosssa 1000 trains, like you can also find in Italy and France. They have been adjusted a little bit though, but in many ways these trains are very Italian. I traveled on Frecciarossa trains before, I also have trip reports on that, but this is the first, well at least the first trip report I'm editing on a Frecciarosssa 1000. On my way to Spain, I also traveled on board of a Frecciarosssa 1000 within France, on the route from Paris to Lyon. There will be a trip report on that as well. Also other trip reports on other Frecciarossa trains within Italy, for example between Milan and Trieste, and also on the first generation Frecciarossa trains can be found on this channel, and if they're not there yet, just stay tuned. Before we take a closer look at the interior of the train, let's take a close look at the exterior. There will be digital displays at all doors that will host the route information, so train number, carriage number, stops along the way and the final destination. Glasses have been marked at the doors as well. And apart from the carriage numbers on the digital displays, this has also been marked with permanent, indicators at the doors. Honestly, I don't know why these people were running, we still have plenty of time before the train's departure. Within these trains you will find 4 different classes. The highest one is Infinita Bistro class, and that's the one where we'll be traveling on today. As they describe it by themselves, this is comfort without limits. Then you find singular Only You class. And Only You, this is related to the hotel, because they're working pretty tight together. And as they describe it on the area website, this is a workspace perfect for entrepreneurs and companies. Then you find a singular class. This is comfort and 5G internet speed. I think you find this everywhere in the train, by the way. And the lowest class, what is still really good I have to say, is initial class. And as they say it on their own website, a space designed for every type of traveler. Well, I think that's true. These trains do consist of 8 different carriages. And there's a total capacity of 371 passengers per train set. These trains have been designed for a top speed of 360 km per hour, although in regular service they won't go faster as 300 km per hour. I hope you like this video so far. If you do so, or if it's a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments or feedback, some questions, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to see more trip reports like this channel is focusing on long distance and cross-bordering traveling to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. Then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. For now, let's continue with this video. At the moment I arrived at my seat, the train was slowly pulling out of Madrid Puerta de Atocha railway station and starting its way to Malaga. Our journey time is only 2 hours and 47 minutes. What's really fast. Within the coaches 6, 7 and 8 you will find the lowest class, what is the initial class. And I say lowest, that sounds really negative, but this is pretty good still. These seats do come in a 2x2 configuration, like classical for to a second class trains within Europe. Most seats do come in an airline style composition. And apart from the overhead luggage racks, there are some dedicated luggage racks within these compartments as well. I mean, these are still long distance trains after all, and people just travel with a lot of luggage on board of these trains. The comfort of these seats is pretty good, but I'll show you this later on. At the moment you move through the train, it has been clearly marked at the doors of the compartments what carriage you're in and also what facilities can be found where. Litter bins to recycle your waste can be found at the vestibules of these trains, what makes traveling by train even more sustainable than it already is. One thing why these trains are much better in compared to the same trains you can find in Italy is that, at least in my opinion, what's better in my opinion, you don't find that many seats opposite from each other. I think even they can have a little bit more than what they have now for families who are traveling together. But personally, I'm not a big fan of that. As a matter of fact, this is one of the reasons why I like the competitor of Trenitalia within Italy. You have these tables at the seat in front of you and they are quite sturdy. The amount of legroom is very reasonable. I have to add up to this, I'm quite a tall boy, so it might all look tighter than it is. There's a small footrest and a small litter bin between the seats. A button to recline the seats is located within the armrest. And even if I fully recline these seats, I still have more than enough legroom. And there are plenty of power sockets. They're located between the seats. Perfect to charge mobile devices or to work along the go. Seat numbers are located right under the luggage racks. They will come in A, B, C and D and the row number. All windows do have a sunscreen. And I think this is a very good product. You get most value for money over here. But for now, let's move on to one class higher, what is singular and can be found in the codes 4 and 5. At least according to the website of Iryo. This is basically the same as the class I showed you earlier on, what is initial. However, singular is a kind of different fare that comes with different conditions. For example, it's more flexible to change, to do a name change, etc. I mean, I really like it that Iryo is not only stunting with their prices, like for example Ougo, but they're also focusing on service. Of course, the price level is an important thing, but service is also important. I think if we have a lot of trains that are very cheap but have no service at all, that's not a good thing either. Anyway, these here are the base seats, so seats facing each other with a bigger table in between. The litter bin is located within the table and you can fold these tables out to make them bigger. One thing I should mention, and I see a lot of people not doing this, but between the backends of the seats you can also store luggage. A trolley service is also available in this train and these classes and will pass by it during the journey. Now we move to my favorite part of trains in general, and that's the dining car. It's not very big though, and in the class where I was traveling on, I didn't need this. The dining car, or cafe I should say, is located at coach number 3. It's really focused on the Spanish cuisine, so in that sense this train is not very Italian. Most related to the dining car is obviously the toilet. And there was a baby thing already pulled out over here. Let me put it back. These toilets are really Italian because the toilet seat will pop up automatically, and this is something I only found in Italian trains so far. And I think this is a great thing because there are a lot of men who don't know really how to hit the target. And especially on a moving train, I think I can sometimes, understand those men. Also located in coach number 3 is the bigger accessible toilet. This toilet is rather big. You find some extra support bars for people who need this, and obviously you can also change your diaper for little babies over here, as you can see over here. I really like it that they have these also within the regular normal toilets. Then also in coach number 3 you find the class singular only you. And here only you is related to the hotel. And they're really focusing on people who want to work during the journey. And over here you also find the accessible area. On the screen here on the left, by the way, the menu of the restaurant will be displayed. Well, these were the only seats I didn't test out during this ride. For now, let's move on to carriage number 2 and 1. If I look on the map on the Iryo website, these two carriages are both for the Infinita class. However, as far as I noticed, carriage number 2 is both for the singular only you and the Infinita class. Singular only you basically means you have the seat layout that is like this, but the meals are not included, and the Infinita is including the meals. I have to add up to this, if you book this including the meals on these trains, the prices are compared to all the other tickets relatively high. Let's do a seat tour. The legroom is really generous, like basically everywhere in these trains. You find a sturdy fold-out table in the seat in front of you. Right below that there is a food holder, and within the seat you also find a small litter bin. At the armrest there's a button you can use to recline the seats, and even if I fully recline these seats I do have more than enough leg room. For this journey I've booked myself on the first row of car number 1, so row number 1, and this row has a bit more leg room. It's really generous, and that's the least I could say. As a matter of fact, I think it's a little bit too much. The table in the seat in front of me, well, it popped out really smooth, and it's really a big distance at the table in front of me. Because the class I've booked comes including a meal, I actually think that this distance is a little bit too much. You can put the seats a little bit closer and add some extra luggage room, for example. It feels like I'm always complaining about trains, but I just try to be objective and hopefully give some useful feedback to train companies as well. Screens at the ceiling throughout the train do host route information. This is pretty accurate, including line maps and speed. I really want to mention that at least my interaction with all the staff of Iryo was really good. They were really helpful and their level of English is pretty good as well. Free Wi-Fi is available on board of these trains. This doesn't just link your mobile device to the internet, but you will also be connected to an onboard entertainment system, where you find some podcasts, some magazines, movies, oh you name it. I didn't browse too much here though. Now about the class I booked, the Infinita Bistro. I showed you the seats already, but not the service yet. At the moment we left Madrid, some snacks, some nuts, and a drink was being overhanded. Also a cleaning towel. It's really nice and actually a nice start of this journey. Not long after that, the meal was being served, and this is being adjusted at the time of the day you're traveling in. I have to add up to this, the vegetarian and vegan selection is not that great, to be honest. But that's a little bit challenging in Spain in general, to be honest. Anyway, after I enjoyed my meal, I had some coffee. And since this year I'm drinking really not a lot of alcohol anymore, so I took one wine only, and I did this just before the train almost arrived in Malaga. And my personal conclusion about Iryo is, I like these trains. And not only these trains, I just like the entire approach of Iryo. It's a young, fresh company. That's really the short conclusion. And the reason why is easy. They're not only focusing on price. Of course the prices can be very reasonable, but this all has to do with the moment that you're traveling as well. I mean, prices are based on demand. This counts for basically all long distance trains in Spain. Personally, I'm working as a travel agent for a travel agency that makes package deals by train traveling within Europe. And I can tell from an experience point of view that the demand from many railway passengers is very different. Some of them don't mind to spend a lot of money for a little bit more luxury, and others, well, they mind every penny. And I think when it comes to this, Iryo is serving both types of customers, simply by not only focusing on the price, but also on service. Speaking of prices and price levels, tickets are based on the amount of passengers, like I already mentioned. And this also means that the different classes are based on the amount of passengers. So let's say everybody books the lowest ticket fares, at least the lowest classes within these trains, and there are still plenty of seats available in the higher classes. Then the higher classes will be relatively cheaper as well. And in some situations, those tickets might even be lower than the lower classes. Well, that's very rare though. This is also based on the type of train, at least at the hour of the day that you're traveling. Basically to try to spread out passengers as much as possible over different trains. Because you will find 3 different companies and 4 different brands for the high-speed trains in Spain, my personal favorite website to book train tickets is Trainline. Then what I don't like about Iryo, and in general I'm really in favor for state-owned railway companies. Simply because a company like Iryo is mainly looking at where they can make money. And state-owned railway companies also have a more social function and also serve stations that might be commercially not that interesting, but they are very useful because they serve smaller communities, for example. However, if there's one thing that turned out in the past, is that the Spanish state-owned railway company Renfe didn't have enough trains to meet the demand. So there were also more trains needed, and iryou is jumping into this gap, together with Ougo. About Ougo I have very mixed feelings. Ougo is a part of the French state-owned railway company SNCF, and about them I have very mixed feelings. Simply because I don't think it's good to compete directly with a railway company of a neighboring country. Because if you compete on one side, how do you ever improve cross-bordering train traveling, where there are really a lot of improvements needed? And also rail passes, for example Interrail and Eurail, they do not function on Ougo and iryou trains. The same thing counts, by the way, if you're traveling with a Frecciarosssa within France, for example. But I can go way too deep on this topic, and this video, well, I think it's about time to end the video, because the views from the train, we are almost at the railway station of Malaga now. That's it for this video. Welcome to Malaga. These trains are a bit different compared to the Frecciarossa trains you can find, for example, in Italy and France. Some parts they're definitely better, some parts they're, well, can be improved, so they can learn a bit from each other. But overall, this is a good product, and I like the fact that they don't focus only on the budget product, what is great to me. I hope you liked this video, or this has been helpful to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is cross-bordering and long-distance travel. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. Before we really end up this video, one last thing. Once again, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video, or this has been helpful to you. If you are interested in other videos, of course you can find them on this channel. And something else you find in the description of this video on YouTube is a link to a map. And on this map you can find all videos as well. See you on the next one.